Hello, everybody. All the GCMF members, I'd just like to introduce one of our lovely members, Gwen Lindsay. And we're so glad to see her from what, the Great White North, or it's not so white anymore, right? Up there in, where are you? Blue Mountain? No.
I'm in Wasaga Beach. I'm originally from the Great White North, but now I'm in Georgian Bay.
All right, Wasaga, okay, the beach life, where life is a beach, right?
That's right.
Right? But it's so glad to see you. We miss you, both you and Don, right? Of course. And
Yes.
but it's wonderful that you you wanted to connect. Don gave us a call a couple days ago, or an email, and just enjoyed the interviews of seeing, you know, the other members just talking about what's going on in their life, and so that'll lead us into, you know, how have you been faring through the pandemic in the last year, Gwen, you and Don?
I would say I personally have been faring well. It's been busy because I'm really my husband's caregiver. He's dealing with a lot of issues, but we're forging ahead, and we still pray every day, and I'm thankful that he's able to do that. So you have to make use of the good time. So we do that.
Right. Yes. Well, you know, like ourselves, you know, we don't know how we would fare, you know, if we didn't have a relationship, you know, with the Lord, right? When we're going through our challenges in life, you know, and so you're a living testimony of that, right?
I have actually been very busy. I was thinking about, you know, just sharing here, and in retrospect, I am so aware of how God has had his hand on me, and that he really, if we will look to him, he will really direct our paths. And I truly believe that he has, and I can explain why I would say that.
Okay.
You talked about the Great White North. I really am. I'm from a little village, a mining village in northern Quebec called Gorlamac. And I was thinking about how, as an adult, I ended up leading in worship for Women Aglow of Canada. And I was standing on a stage in Calgary, and I was so humbled because I was, it was a large meeting of people all across Canada, and they had representatives of every province stand in front of me, and then I would pray over each province, and I would sing a blessing over each flag.
Amen.
And then the First Nation people from Saskatchewan and Alberta moved towards me in their beautiful buckskin dresses, and I sang a blessing over them. And I was so humbled. And in my mind, I said, Lord, how did I end up here?
Right.
And I heard and had a memory of me as a 5-year-old, literally sitting in the bush on a stump. My dad had made a table out of a tree that he had cut. And I was coloring a butterfly. And I heard the words, when you were coloring that butterfly, I was coloring you. And I am so aware of his hand on me. And I find it so incredibly God that after about 10 years with Women Aglow, someone prayed for me and prophesied that a change was coming suddenly. And it came suddenly, and it was that my husband and I were going to minister together. Well, within a week, it was just like a domino effect. And people were actually saying to us, when are we going to have a church in Wasaga Beach? And they had no idea. And while I was in Calgary, my husband had had a vision. So I didn't know that this was happening to him, and he didn't know that I was receiving this prayer. And his vision was that he saw a Marine running up the beaches. And the word was take the beach and hold the beach. And so we were pastoring in that church for 25 years.
Wow.
Now we are not pastoring, although I'm so very busy.
Right.
But I do find it interesting. The reason I should contact you about being interviewed was I saw Michael Pierce. And years ago, there was a church in Midland that was having a reconciliation meeting. And at that time, I didn't know I didn't know my identity. And but it was for the purpose of bringing together people of indigenous backgrounds in Midland to this one church. And I was the only one was in our area that went. I was compelled to go. And I went there. There were people that were Christian and non-Christian. And so, like I said, I didn't know who I was, but I ended up having lunch with the Wendat chief and his I'll just say shaman. And so anyway, I find this very interesting. The shaman said, as he went around with things that I didn't agree with, but it was part of their perspective.
Right.
And he said, if you do not believe in this, do not participate because you will defile yourself. And I thought, wow, that's honor. So, I mean, that's just the way they looked at things.
Right.
But I find it very interesting. I went back and I spoke to, my father never told us that we were Métis. And the reason he didn't is because they would take the children and put them into the residential schools.
Okay.
And so my mother was English. And so we just never talked about it. But I knew there was something different because he did a few things that were quite different, like putting my brother on the back of a moose out in the lake. White people don't do that.
You run the other way.
So anyway, I just found that quite amazing. So to bring this together, I know we've only got 15 minutes. And so my uncle told me, he said, well, you're Métis. And a Métis person can hold a citizenship if they can prove their ancestral lineage.
Right.
So we're descendants of the voyageur. And my heritage goes back to the Drummond Island voyageur. So so many things happened. I find it phenomenal that I came all the way from Quebec down to Oakville and eventually up to Barrie, then to Wasaga Beach. This is my traditional ancestral territory.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Wow.
So I brought my sash.
Love that.
The reason I'm wearing this, so this particular sash, normally I would have a red one, and basically the red one just is something that any Métis person could be wearing. But I ended up, because I was a specialized treatment foster parent for 40 years, excuse me, I started to attend some of the Métis meetings, and my heart was so much for children. And so I ended up putting my name out there to be a representative for the children, which was CWAC, a Child Welfare Advisory Circle. And so I'm trying to speed it up, but from there, I ended up having a lot of conversation. You think back to the damage that has been done through the residential schools. And I am honored to, as a Christian, to be a great part of that restoration and bringing healing. And I'm finding out we've got Christians in here, which is and this is for all of Ontario, so it's wonderful. So now, to make a long story short, if I can, I became the senator for Georgian Bay Métis Council. Okay. And the senator is a spiritual leader.
Wow, that's where you were.
So,
you were there, me? You were at that meeting last night. Isn't that?
That's right.
That's right. You said you were going
that,
to that.
That was for our. That's right. That was for Georgian Bay Métis Council.
Okay.
In addition to that, they appointed me the senator for a project advisory group, which is for all of Ontario. And that's just to take care of our children and bring health and wholeness back to families.
Right.
Restoration. It's quite, I can't believe I ended up here. And then last week they had elections for the provincials, and I came one vote away.
Wow.
And so anyway, somebody said to me, "You should have a recount," and I said no. And
you pulled it. You wanted to pull Donald Trump. I want to recount.
Well, this person wanted me to.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I really felt that God showed me favor because when I put my bio out there, I really filled it up with God. So it went all over Ontario.
Amen.
And I wanted to know, it's like putting my toe in the lake. I wanted to know what the temperature was.
That's the waters, right?
And
right.
That's it.
Well, it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to do that, right? To put your life's work out there to be nominated on, right? And
but you know, when God calls us, He equips us. I am so aware of this, and I really felt when I didn't get it, and I had people from Kenora, people I've never met, you know, and yet I put everything out there, and I had and the only reason I put my name in was because there were certain people in the higher ups that said, "We need you," and they liked the way I pray. And so what I do, because see, among the Métis people, we pray to the Creator.
Right.
And so we don't say specifically in the name of Jesus. And I thought, Lord, I don't want to offend you. I want to do what is honorable to you.
Right.
And I really felt that at this time, like when I pray the word of God. So I give them the word, the word, the word, the word, the word, the word.
Right.
And this is from the tiniest child up to the elders. And I felt anyway, that the Lord was saying to me, you give them Jesus. And I do.
Wow.
So I don't say his name, but I tell you, on a one-to-one basis, I've had wonderful feedback.
Right.
And so I'm taking that
they know what you're all about and who you represent.
Pardon me?
They know what you're all about and who you represent, right?
Yes, they do.
You know, that goes before.
In fact, I've had the executive senator tell numbers of other people, she's a minister.
Yeah.
I feel like a rock star.
You are.
But yeah, I am a rock star.
Jesus, yes. Here's for Jesus.
There you go. But yeah, so it's been very.
Wow. So that's what you've been doing. That's what been keeping you busy.
I've been very busy.
Right, and you've been
That's
busy
right.
with Don. Don,
Yes,
give from all the GCMF members, just give Don a big hug for us, and
I will.
we miss him and love him, right?
Yeah, he's
I
a
hope I
great
didn't get
guy.
distracted earlier. I have these two little children over here in the church, and they're just acting. They're not really children. They're actually old children right now. So I was getting distracted a little earlier. But yeah, give Don our love from everybody. We miss him, and we just pray.
Thank you.
Pray God breathes new life into him and
Yes.
strength.
Are you talking about us?
Thank you.
Got Carl.
Are you talking about us?
Oh, I was going to tell you about this sash.
Mhm.
This sash was given to me because it's a sash of honor.
Oh,
And so I was honored that they would see me in that light.
right.
And so, wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it just blesses me because I know that if they see something in me, I know it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And so
Amen.
that's
Amen.
very pleasing.
So that's been what you've been up to. Sounds like you've been very busy, with
I am
caring
very
for
busy.
Dawn and doing that works as well. And that's how you've been, that was probably includes that second part of our question about how you're engaging in ministry, right? But
Yes.
our third question is, do you have a word for our GCMF members? That would touch their
I
life?
think that the word that I would want to say is just to remind people. And I even pray this over the tiny little Métis kids, that before God formed you in the womb, he knew you and he had plans to prosper you and to bless you. And I talk about all the gifts that he's placed within each person. So to know that God has a plan for our life. And so we are not the same. I say to people, a fork cannot help but be a fork.
Mhm.
You're not going to eat soup with your fork. So be who God has called you to be, because God's leading you.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Gwen. We received that, and it's lovely spending some time with you. I wish we could do more, and we will do more, maybe in another way, in the meetings, in a bigger meeting. But for now, we're just gonna end our little interview, and we just miss you guys, and we love you, and yes, and thank you for that word.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So good to see you.
You too.
Bye-bye. Bless you.
Okay, that's the recording is over. Now they want to talk and make noise while we're interviewing. They're making noise over here. Like little
So
children.
who are these rowdy people
I don't know.
besides Carl?
I don't know if I should. I don't like to talk about people's sins, right, in public. But while I'm on Zoom, Pastor Carl and my wife.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm
How
still
is your
recording.
wife?
Oh, I'm still recording. Yeah, that got him
But I
going.
didn't send on yet.
That's it. But we're gonna do a meeting soon. Haven't figured out the day, probably end of May sometime. But we're gonna do the element of Zoom as well in our
Yes.
area meeting. So maybe you can hook up that way
Yes.
when we do it. That way you can stay in touch.
That'd be great.
Mhm, mhm. So
Yes, I'm on.
Is Don in the hospital still, or?
No, he is home. However, we had to call the ambulance again last night.
Oh,
So having a real time with his blood pressure right now.
okay.
So yeah, he deals with a lot of stuff. But he's he's a strong man,
Right,
you know.
hanging in there,
You
right?
know, I was talking to my grandson and I said, do you know that your grandfather, like Don was a commercial diver, and he said, did you know that he did work 6 miles up from the Niagara Falls?
Wow,
Like, I mean, yeah,
wow, that is,
that's close when you're talking about Niagara Falls.
yes, yes. Yeah, that's what
And
he
I
did,
said,
eh?
well, didn't they? Oh, he did it while he was a firefighter, commercial diver. He did some incredible jobs as a commercial diver,
Right.
working under ships
Mhm.
where he would be down there and just hoping down and crunch them and
Yeah.
explosives. Yeah,
Dangerous,
explosives and
Very dangerous work, eh?
buried under the water like cave-ins,
Uh-huh.
buried under the ice.
Wow.
Yeah. And he never told me, the sneaky guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like he didn't tell me how serious it was. So now that he can't keep these stories from me, I keep saying to him, you said you're going to write a book. You need to write a book because God has been so faithful.
Right,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Sure, you can easily lose your life doing that type of work, right?
You want to believe it?
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
that's some people do for fun.
Well, give them our love. Tell them we're praying for them, both of you.
Thank you.
All right, so we
I
love you,
appreciate that.
and
Thank you.
we'll
We
talk
love you
soon,
too.
okay, Gwen?
All right. Bless you.
Thank you.
And you tell those people to behave themselves over there.
Yeah, you behave yourself. Mama's saying, actually, the senator is saying to behave yourself, right?
There you go.
All right, bye.
Okay. Good to talk to you. Bye.
Yeah.